to get above, double digits?
Well, that's a challenge, I think, for all the candidates, and suffice it to say that I'm working on that.
In 2007, you voted for a tax hike. Why wouldn't you vote for one this year?
The environment's different. In 2007, Susan, I voted for $1 billion in cuts and an increase in the income tax. That was a good compromise to balance the budget. I did not vote for the business tax increase. We didn't get the $1 billion in cuts.
You voted for the surcharge.
Well, I voted to get rid of the service tax,
right, and
which moved it to
it
the
with
surcharge, which, at that point, the increase was already in place. But the environment's changed. Raising the income tax put it to a lower level than it was in all the 1990s.
Well, are you willing to raise new revenue to restore the 20J money to these districts?
I voted with my Senate colleagues already on 3 measures to bring in revenue. Narrow the film tax credits, phase in the earned income tax credit, and a tax amnesty plan. Those are 3 things the Senate has already passed.
But the Democrats have made it clear that they don't like the fact that it's tied to the pulling back of the surcharge. How do you make a compromise with the House, between the House and the Senate, if they don't like what you've sent over and you don't like what they've sent over?
That's what politics is all about. I'm willing to look at any option. I'm about solutions. Government shutdowns are bad, but to think that we're going to have fewer and fewer working people and we're going to just keep raising taxes on them to sustain uncapped social programs isn't the solution.
Would you say I will look at any option that includes other tax expenditures that might be on the table that she or the Democrats might put there?
I'm not planning on voting for any tax increases, but I think if they...
Well, would that be a tax increase, shaving 12% off of a tax credit?
Depends on your point of view. I did vote to shave a tax credit, the film tax credit.
Right. So why wouldn't you do it on something else?
It depends on what they are.
You're afraid of being tagged as a tax raiser in this race for governor.
No. Look, the solution to Michigan.
I can hear Mike Cox and Mike Bouchard doing that to you right now.
Well, then Republicans are not going to win falling over themselves to cut taxes when we have a $2.7 billion shortfall. We have a responsibility to balance the budget.
So Mike Cox is irresponsible to offer that.
I have voted to balance the budget. I voted for a balanced budget in 2007, in 2008,
Senator, that wasn't
and
the
in
question.
2009.
Is Mr. Cox irresponsible to offer that?
I can't control the other candidates.
I'm not asking you to control him. I'm asking you to react to what he did.
Tim, for Republicans to win, we have to offer more than just tax cuts.
Maybe for Republicans to win,
government.
they need to answer questions like that. Why don't you want to take him on?
The picking on the other candidates isn't going to do me any good. There's
It'll get you
5
some headlines.
people running. No.
It might boost your name ID.
The challenge is how to turn Michigan around. Tax cuts should be on the list, but you got to do the math. Republicans can't be the party of fantasy. We have to be the party of reality. And if you're going to do tax cuts, which is a good goal, we need to first get rid of that MBT surcharge. You need to control spending. And where's the spending? It's health care. It's Medicaid. It's for state employees. 5 states now charge state employees more for their health care if they smoke. They're all in the South. They're all tobacco states. We don't do that. There are plenty of reforms we can do that will help balance the budget before we need to look at it, before we need to raise taxes, and that would give us the option to consider tax cuts.
Given how this, this budget process is broken down and the mess that we seem to be in every year, is the system broken?
I think the system is broken, and that really raises a good question about structural reforms in government. We have a constitutional provision that says the legislature must pass a balanced budget. But that does not apparently apply to the Senate and the House separately. So you've seen in the last couple of years budgets pass chambers that have not been balanced. So yes, we need a structural fix to the budgeting process.
And you want to do that through a con-con, don't you?
Well, there's several ways to do it. I proposed a rule change. It passed the Senate. It's concurrent rule 21 that would say each chamber would separately have a balanced budget.
But you do favor a con-con, don't you?
Well, a constitutional convention is another tool, and it's actually a much stronger one than a rule change. And the con-con question will be on the ballot.
And you'll
next
vote yes
fall.
on it.
Well, if the vote were today, I would vote yes. Because look at the structural problems we've had. 2 government shutdowns in 3 years, and a con-con offers an opportunity to put in a new set
But
of
if the vote
rules.
was tomorrow, you might not?
Well,
Which is it?
Well, if the vote was tomorrow, I would too. But but let's see what happens in the next 6 months or so. I think if Michigan's unemployment is still going to be in the teens, and you want change, and you want to restructure things, the biggest tool is to rewrite the rule book. We're on our 4th Constitution, and Michigan historically writes a new one about every 50 years. And our last one was written when we were a rich state.
Very good. Senator, thanks for joining us on our program. Good luck on the campaign trail. Also, our thanks to Laura and Susan and Mark. Don't forget our email address, otr@wkar.org, and watch us on your iPod as well. See you next week.